So I'll just log in. Okay. Now, on the first module at the top left-hand side here, I'll gradually just work my way down here and talk through these modules. This map truly is a global aspect, and it's an interactive map whereby we can have a snapshot overview of the stations, be that at a state level or an international level even. We can just have a snapshot analysis of the station and the real-time data. Really is a good top level overview. So moving on to our charts, you'll notice a reoccurring theme here with these modules in that we can manually input data and the request of data, or we can also save a template. Now, what I'll do is just jump onto the site, our demo site, and I'll select some PM10 concentration data for the last 7 days. And I'm going to choose a raw data format. Now, if I chart that, it populates the chart automatically, and we can have up to 8 parameters down here. Now, what I'll just proceed to show you is we can also have varying interval levels, averaging levels for the same concentration, and include that in the data set. And if you so wish, we can actually zoom in on that data point and really give a microscopic view as to what is going on. Now, I'll just reset that view, and I'll just explain a little bit here about the data sets that Trelia and the Converge suite actually utilizes in the database. We always keep a backup of data in a raw format. That is never changed. It's never manipulated. However, we can and we do create another data set in a validated data set. And I'll show you shortly how we can actually validate data sets based on the various flags available. Now, if there are changes in the future, we can revert back to the raw format, and we always have that gold standard to refer back to. Here, I'll just show you as well the template feature. So what I'll do is just go on to save that, and we'll call it PM10 60-minute. 1 minute. And we can then generate it for future reference. So really, we know that the user doesn't want to reinvent the wheel every time. We need efficiencies on site, so to speak. So that is available for future reference. Now, another interesting feature here is that we can actually pop this window out, and we can use a split screen, for example, and we can upload the data on a report, which I'll show you shortly, just for comparison. So really is a lot of power in that module. Okay, so moving down to the reports feature, what I'll do is manually create some data here. Let's just go from yesterday till today. Use our 60-minute average and a raw data, and just generate that report. Now, you'll notice here, obviously, we do have the hourly averages. We have the value, and we have the flag beside it, which is in a separate field. I'll come to that a little later on in the demonstration, and the importance of that. A T at this stage means that that is raw data. And again, here, we can save this template and create for future reference. If you wanted to do a weekly report, for example, you just go along, select your template, and you've got a weekly report readily available there for you. Once again, this screen can pop out. Okay, now moving down to our validation tool, obviously a key module for us. What I'll do is select our demonstration site, and for example, just select something nice and easy from yesterday with an integration period of 60 minutes again. So I'll load that data up for our T640 in this case, and scroll across to our dust. Now, in this example, I'll just come along, and let's say we know that we had an issue on our instrument from 3 a.m. till 9 a.m. Sorry, over here. And what we want to do is we want to just allocate that with an instrument alarm. And we'll add a quality note here. Select our parameters, select the time frame, the subject as to the reason why we're making the change, and then just save that. So that note is now allocated for that data set. Now, another really interesting feature here for us is, I don't know about you guys, but these numbers don't really mean a heck of a lot to me visually. So what I'm going to do is select that charts function, and I'm just going to roll across the top of these bars here. And as you can see, it gives a really clear indication as to what's going on site for that specific parameter. So just another little feature that we know the users will find handy. So moving on to the export tool, quite a basic feature, but an important one for many. So what I'll do is, again, I'm just going to continue to use Dust as an example and scroll across to our selected parameters. Again, the ability to save a template for future reference. I'm going to use a start date for yesterday, the day before, and an integration period of 60 minutes raw data. And with this next section here, the export flag, it's referring back to what I previously mentioned. Now, with this flag, we can actually export data with the flag by this next to the value of concentration, for example, or we can have it in a separate field. So that separate field is allocating our data and then the flag associated with it. So our separator, in this case, we're just going to use a comma. So let's go down and let's save this file. And export. Now you can see it's popped up here just with a link to the file. And as you can see, that flag is after our data set. So just for those that want to use the validated data, for example, when they come in, this flag will be a V. Okay. The import module is really for when we have a high vol, for example, at an air quality monitoring station, and we want to manually input that data in CSV format, we have that option. Moving down our alerts. So come down and configure. So a brief description of the alert, whether it's active in real time or the average associated. Now, the last process being today's date. And the offset is, for example, 5 minutes past the hour. So I'm going to set a low limit of 25 micrograms and 50 micrograms for our high limit. This hysteresis, essentially, if I set this at 10%, we will not get an alarm until that high limit has gone below 45 in this case, because it's 10% off. Now, our SMS text and email alarms are essentially what we will see. So okay, that can be customized to whatever you want it to be. This Azure server essentially gives us the capability to plug into an IoT hub. And what we're going to do next, we've selected our concentration, and we also want an alarm when the T640 status is, the system OK status has been activated. Okay. And our distribution list being the users that we're going to send those SMS and emails to at this time interval during 9 till 5. So I'll just carry on down here. Now this calibration config, actually, we don't actually have any steps enabled, but this is for an air quality monitoring station. And what we'll do is allocate the various steps for the dilution calibrator, the time that you require for each step, the zero, the span, and so on. And that will all be configurable. We didn't really have time to do that during this presentation, unfortunately. Again, communications is a snapshot overview. We can configure exactly the IP address and the parameters that we're talking to. In this case, still the T640, and the settings here are of the whole application. So the users and so on.
Okay. Apart from the simple reports that are created in the basic module of the system, we have an advanced reporter that uses in the background our studio tools to create graphics reports that can be customized to the special requirements of each of our customers. Even so, some experienced users can create their own reports or their own graphics and add to the system with a quite easy way. And it has several sections. For example, the first one is the R charts. It's a series of different kind of graphics we can generate from the database. That in this case, we have a set of several stations with parameters and so. It's just it's a quick and fast way to generate, in this case, calendars that explain, for example, the minimum of this parameter, the PM10 in this site, from January to right now, the daily mean, the daily maximum. It can create, for example, the percent of data we have every day in this site for this parameter. There is plenty of different charts that can be created with this task. For example, the one pollutant rows. One important thing that of our system is that we can mix together different sources of data. For example, if you don't have weather station in one site, we can assign a close, for example, a Bureau of Meteorology station to this particular site, and we can create pollutant rows or graphics like these other ones that are the polar frequencies and so. Taking the data from the pollutant from one side and taking the meteorological parameters, in this case wind speed and wind direction, from a close site that is assigned to this particular parameters, let's say. Another kind of graphics that are quite useful for the users is this type of heat map that you can see when the problems from this parameter arise. In this case, we have a couple of hot spots, let's say, in April, and the Mars was okay, and it's in a very fast way we can analyze the data and taking several different kind of graphics. These graphics can be copied and put in, for example, in a Word document. It's quite easy to export to include in different reports, let's say. Another interesting graphic we can create is time variation. It takes an analytics of the behavior by day of the week, by hour on the day, by month, and even when the average in the day. What is the problems in this case? In this case, is for an industrial place. You can see the weekends are the values are quite low, and we have the most problems are in Wednesdays and in Fridays. Okay, and they are created in real time. You can see it's quite fast to create this kind of analytics, and it's quite easy to understand and to analyze to create the reports. Even we can create long-term graphics. How is the behavior around the year, for example, or for example, we can take another kind of wind rows, explaining where are the problems arising in this place. In this place, let's say when the wind comes from the west, the biggest values in the PM10 from these sites come from here. All these visuals are quite explaining by themselves, but we also can, apart from the reports, we can create different kinds of data reports, selecting by one site, using the templates Gary shows you in the first part of the meeting, combining different parameters or from different stations. You can create templates and you can put this data in a report, or you can select freely when you need, for example, to create a report from different stations. Then here you can make some transformation in the data from times average, hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, quarter, year. You can even select the Australian standard states that for a daily, let's say, or hourly value, you need at least 75% of data to calculate a valid average. You can even go modify this value here to, for example, you want to check if you have just a few data that day, you can analyze more easily with using that. And there is different statistics from the mean or average, the maximum, minimum, standard deviation, the frequency, the data capture. For example, let's go to the max, and let's go to check just a couple of days and create the report. It takes the data from the database from these two places, calculate the max for every day in an hourly average. Even you can put 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours. It depends on what you want, and it creates this report. This is the report from January 1 to January 2. For two sites, I selected the maximum with a data threshold of 75. You can see it's quite powerful to create reports. And then, apart from the list of data, that sometimes is important, but it's not a lot of explaining, we can create different kind of customized reports. Sometimes I will show some of them. For example, in this we analyze for these two places, the PM10, the 2.5, the data capture for each one. We can add to the same report that can be generated with the tool or automatically with a Trelia. We can even send by email this report to the different managers of the network to receive daily these reports with different visuals. This kind of charts, for example, the daily average in this lollipop chart that is quite explaining. For example, this is the PM10 limit, and you can see this month you have a couple of exceedances. PM 2.5 it's okay because it's lower than the PM10 limit. You can show the same information in a calendar with the value, exactly the value you take it. The days, 13 and 25 was the days you have the exceedances. No exceedances for PM 2.5. The analytics for the data in the period you obtain the report. Okay, and even you can have, for example, this kind of graphs that compares the weekend against the weekday. You can see this is for an industrial place. The most of the biggest concentrations are in between 16 and 18 or 17 in the afternoon, and you can see this other visual that shows the same, that the weekday is bigger with these dots that are higher than the others, and the analytics for the PM2.5 it's similar but lower than the PM10. Or for example, we can show this other visual that shows in a bar chart for different places. Put the pollution roses for the different places. And for example, in this case, there is an exceedancy for PM2.5, and we show the wind exactly this day that there is the exceedancy. Okay. And finally, we have, for example, another custom report. And as I explained you, it's something similar. We can, in this case, it's a site that didn't have a weather station. We take the data from the Canberra Airport meteorological station to integrate and to calculate these wind rows for this place using the data from a different site. Okay. Of course, we have reports to calculate for the different parameters according with the national standards. I show you here an example. For example, this is for the PM10 in a network for all the places, and we create in this case a calendar with all the different sites and the different exceedancies for the limit. All these reports can be customized. We can mix the tables of data, all the visuals you saw in the previous slides, and we can generate it automatically and send it to different recipients that can use this for the reports, as analytics, and so. For example, this is a place with a high level of particulates with a lot of exceedancies. Just seeing this report, you can see there is a problem here. Let's say, okay, and you can see, for example, that this is in this site number 7. It's another problem. Okay, the good thing of seeing the data in this way is just you can focus in the problems and try to solve it.
I mentioned previously about the utilities available. These are all on-premise solutions. Now, we do also have a web-based version. This is utilizing the open source platform Grafana. And as you can see, we have a general snapshot here in this example of a map, and the various sites, snapshot real-time data, and the past historical data here in the trend analysis. So what we actually can do here is utilize different dashboards. So we've got one set up for an alert. We've got one set up for data export. We have another one set up for our report repository. So here is a link back to those reports that Lewis very kindly showed us just then. And we can also utilize a different dashboard for meteorological station. So here, as you can see, we've got wind speed direction. Now, an interesting feature here is you can see that the data is consistent throughout in its time frame. Now, if we want to come in and we just want to focus on the 14th of May, for example, just keep an eye on the surrounding data dashboards. They also line up to those dates. So you have a snapshot, really can go into an intrinsic level as to what is occurring on your site.